Ave Legion and welcome to my channel. My name is Ludi and today we're going to do our Ottoman starting moves guide. In this video we'll be going over the initial diplomatic situation, early wars, later expansion, and the ideas that you should go for. If we get 2,000 likes on the video, I'm also going to do an army composition guide. And if you enjoy watching my videos once in a while, please consider subscribing. Would really mean the world to me and help out with the algorithm, which in turn means I can make more videos that are even a better quality. In order to find out why the Ottomans are so strong, we need to look at their initial diplomatic situation. As you can see, pretty much everybody wants a piece of us, everybody wants to be our friend, but we are very selective. Hold up a sec, papal states? What now? Alliance wise, honestly, you don't really need allies. You're very strong, and you'll see that within the first few years we're gonna triple in size. Before we begin, however, we need to give out the estates what they desire, which is +1 admin power, +1 mil, and +1 diplo power, together with the oversight by the ulema, supremacy over the sultanate, private trade fleets. We also start off with the guaranteed dhimmi autonomy, and we are going to give out the promote dhimmi nobles and guarantee religious minority rights, since in case you didn't know, we do have quite a little bit of religious minorities in our country. Speaking of religious minorities, we have a special unit, the Janissary unit, that can only be recruited from Orthodox or non-Sunni provinces. Better yet, you just either click the conscript Janissary button from here, or you can go to the production interface and build them manually. They each cost 10 military points and they are insanely great units. I'm gonna be recruiting 10 of them, so I go up to 100% of my force limit, which also means that I can do my first mission here, reform the Imperial Army, which gives me claims on the entirety of the Anatolian part, except this area. So I guess it's not the entirety of the Anatolian part, and I just lied to you. Alright, so we're gonna set up all of these boys here. We're gonna merge all of the Amaze Bolts Janissary units that give a -10 shock and fire damage received and 100% army drill gain modifier, which means that if you drill these bad boys, they're gonna learn a lot faster than your average kebab stand owner. We also can do build to force limit mission, which we will be doing, and we need to get the City of World's Desire to get claims on the entirety of the Greek parts as well here. That means Constantinople. We already started getting our spy network in here, and we're also going to be marching our way towards the Anatolian parts, as we will be attacking, of course, everybody here. Before we do that, we got to get some rivals also. We're going to go with Lithuania, since most cases Lithuania gets PU'd by Poland, so that's just 3 power projection for us. Also going to do the same with Mamluks, since we're going to be fighting the Mamluks early game. One of your initial wars is going to be against the Mamluks. We want to crush and take all of these lands for ourselves, and the Venetians as our third rival. We also will be disbanding the fort in Suglas, since we really don't need that fort there, and it's literally just a drain on our economy. We will be building later on some proper forts in the eastern parts here to protect the Anatolian sides from pretty much anybody trying to enter this area, and we also will adopt the title of Khalifa and denounce these sect practices. Whatever else you can click on it. You also can expand the Devshirm system once you get 100 military points. Also get a morale of armies or a discipline advisor at the start. Get a diplo and an admin advisor too. You start off with a 50% cheaper production efficiency advisor, which is extremely great. And before we seize land, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over to development here, check whichever one of our provinces is cheapest, and of course it is Selanik. We will also encourage development here, and we will be developing it once. Afterwards, we can sell titles, so we get 800 ducats from before we even unpause the game, and then we seize land. Don't worry about having too little crownlands, because within the first 5 years, we're gonna go up to 20% crownlands from the amount of conquests that we will be doing. Remember that each time you conquer a new province, a percentage of your crownlands gets increased based on what crownlands that province had before. 11th of December, and we will be declaring on Kandar. They've allied Karaman. 9% of the times they are going to ally Karaman. Sometimes they ally different nations such as Crimea and so on. Start getting your claims on the nation of Dulkadir also, and continue with the claims on Constantinople. I also allied Ajam as it was available, and it would help me cuck over the Timurids, and I love me cucking over the Timurids, as well as Kazan, so we can cuck on over the Muscovites, and I love me cucking over the Muscovites. fleets. Because we also have insanely high amounts of money, I'm gonna go for the ship trade power, which will actually help me out a lot. You might be thinking, why didn't you go for the galley combat ability? Because I don't need it. I will just build more ships than everybody else. That being said, start building some galleys. You're gonna need a few galleys around, as you will be fighting against the Venetians and a few other nations that have massive fleets after your Anatolian wars. I actually recommend that you hire an admiral for your navy, as you will have to defeat quite a few navies. Even before the Venetian wars, you're gonna have to fight against the navies of Kandar and Karaman, so an admiral would come a long way, as it will boost up your navy considerably. Also, make sure you use your navy to siege down the fort here in Sinop. If you blockade Sinop with your navy, it's gonna siege this faster than it would otherwise. And use your army to hunt down the enemy troops, as previously mentioned. The Janissaries are ridiculously great, but as always, make sure you get a couple of extra generals. All of your armies should have a general when engaging in combat, no matter how great they are, as it will help out quite a bit. Another thing to note is that you're getting 13 monthly military power, so you really don't need to worry about admin tech or about military tech, since you will literally be the first nation to get Miltech 4. We also will be insulting our rivals. Use both a scornful insult and a regular insult against your rivals, so you get 15 power projection. So here's the really sad part about my campaign right now. Because Karaman is not a co-belligerent nation, it would cost me a lot of war score to annex them, and I could not fully annex them unless I co-belligerated them. So because of that, I'm gonna white peace them, so my truce is simply 5 years. So in 1450, we're gonna come back to Karaman and attack them. In the meanwhile, we're gonna finish our war here with Kandar and attack Dulkadir. We also can finally get the expanded Devershini system, and of course with Kandar, full annexation is the best. Bring your army over to the Balkan side, as you will likely have to fight both Serbia and, oh my god, they actually allied Imereti this time. Actually, the one time I do a video for this, they ally Imereti. Okay, fair enough. Well, normally they ally Serbia, but for some reason they didn't, which means that I'm going to be taking the gold mine in 49, not earlier. Thanks a lot, Byzantium. In that situation, we're going to come back here, since we're going to have to fight Imereti, not the Serbs. And as expected, Lithuania is now a junior member under the Poles, which means we got free power projection, and which means we also can get a new rival. We will be going for Poland as our rival. We also can get our claim, and we already have gotten the claim. We're gonna attack Byzantium, co-belligerate Imereti, of course, start sieging down everything here. Make sure your fleet is in control of the Straits of Marmara, and this war should be quite easy. In fact, I'm gonna start the second war at the same time against Dulkadir, since I'm pretty sure I can handle both of these wars. It's weird, they have the same sprite as I have, so it's kind of like fighting my own people here. I don't know. Got mixed feelings about this whole situation. Remember to have spy networks, by the way, in whichever country you are attacking, since having spy networks means that you're going to siege down their provinces faster than you otherwise would be sieging them. Since we are on the topic of why the Ottomans are so insanely overpowered, I'm going to show you why step by step. Next step is showing off the infantry and cavalry units that the Ottomans have. Once we reach level 5, our Azov infantry, and then level 9, the Janissary infantry, are way stronger than the Western tech units, as are the Timariot Cav and Sipahi Cav that follow. Take note though that your early game units are really strong, but the later game units are quite weak. One thing I can tell you is that the Golden Horde or Great Horde regrets messing around with me here. I let you wipe out their entire army, so let's see them handle the Russians now. We're gonna start sieging them down a little bit so they can piece us out here, and we're gonna use the other armies to finish whatever's left of the Byzantines. So we don't really fully want to weaken the Great Horde just yet, because that would make it easier for the Muscovites to take them over. As such, we're only taking some cash and war reps, nothing major, and we tried not to kill all of their armies. We may have stack wiped one or two of them, but they still have some left. We will fully annex, however, Dulkadir, and we will also take the cash. As you can see, coalition wise, it's just Karaman, so that's literally nobody important. Core up out the newly added lands. And when it comes to Imereti, if you do have my situation, I recommend fully annexing them also. And didn't I say that despite getting 3 generals, we still are the first to get military tech? Annexing over Imereti means that we now have access into the Caucasus. And remember to also concentrate development before you core these lands, as they're not Ottoman lands or Turkish lands, better yet. So it's better to just get cheaper lands. You also can now do the expand the Ottoman Empire, which gives us some modifiers in Edirne. You could wait until you change the capital to Constantinople if you want to, before you do that mission. I personally don't really care that much. And now la creme de la creme, La Cité de la Cité, and a massive coalition because of it is, of course, a Byzantium. Not to worry about it though. Remember that you can actually core Byzantium via a decision. This gives you 1 stability as well as a lot of development, makes it Turkish and Sunni, and you also don't need to waste 189 ad points on this. You could also stab up before you do take that decision, get 2 stab, and then you take the decision, meaning you go to 3 stab. You also become an empire rank, and you've also made this full core Turkish Sunni. We're gonna lower the autonomy a little bit there. You also can do this mission, concentrate in the south of Greece, and then afterwards core up everything. Also delete the fort in the south here, it's useless. Also, I should have mentioned I deleted the fort in Sinop, and I will now be deleting the fort in Kocaeli. Later on, I'll be deleting the one in Selanik and building another one in Kestria, since this is a mountain region and it prevents anybody from going into the south without taking Kestria, whilst Selanik is useless. We now will also be attacking, of course, the nation of Epirus, as well as this nation once the truce expires in December. This Battle of Cephalonia was a cakewalk, and now we're gonna co-belligerate Bosnia and attack Serbia. We will vassalize Bosnia so we can feed them back the cores they have on Herzegovina and turn them Muslim secretly. Can I get a historical in the comments, please? And of course, we're rushing for the rest of Serbia. Whilst the war in the Balkans is still raging on, we're gonna be attacking Karaman now, and they are joined by their Maze Bowl's ally Akoyunlu, which is great because we want to actually cancel some of Akoyunlu's alliances. At some point, the Crimeans are going to get an event that either turns them into your march, or they refuse to, and then you get a subjugation CB against them, which if you're not allied to them, you can enforce. Otherwise, you're going to have to cancel the alliance first and enforce afterwards if you were unlucky enough to not get them as a march from the event. Now, we finished our war here. What we're going to do, we're going to vassalize Bosnia first, and with our new vassal here, we're going to be... Wait, what happened? Herzegovina is attacking Bosnia. Well, this is kind of bad because we have 2 cores from Bosnia on Herzegovina, which means that we would have 2 aggressive expansion for these 2 provinces. But because they attacked us and we're in a defensive war, we're actually taking 15 aggressive expansion from taking these 2 provinces. Also, they're allied to Wallachia, which meant if I co-belligerated Wallachia, I would have gotten them as a vassal. So this means I have to declare a separate war against Wallachia. That means I got to get a claim on them now. But it's all good. Even a little bit of extra aggressive expansion is not a massive deal. I am the Ottomans. Aggressive expansion really is just a number for this nation. Once more, we are the first to get military tech. 5? Yes, 5. And as such, we got the Azab infantry, which make our units insanely overpowered. Whenever you're ready to peace out whatever co-belligerated or non-co-belligerated nation here, do so. I'm gonna pillage the capital of Akoyunlu, even though they're not co-belligerated, simply because I want to. Gonna cancel their alliances here, and we can also fully annex the nation of Karaman. This is gonna give us a bit of a coalition, as you can see here. Regardless, I'm still gonna do this. It doesn't matter. Even a coalition, I can just show you guys how to defeat a coalition easy. With Karaman integrated, we get the consolidation of Asia Minor that gives us more claims on Dulkadir and the eastern parts of Anatolia. Once more, I recommend destroying the castle in Ichel, as it is not a great castle. You can also get Defender of the Faith. It is going to help you since it is a tier 5 religion. This offers extra missionary, morale of armies, war exhaustion reduction, and even manpower and true faith provinces. Now I have a little bit of a dilemma here. If I take all of Serbia, I would have a little bit of a coalition. I wouldn't care about any country here except Austria, Aragon, Poland, Bohemia, Hungary, and Mamluks, all of which would join in the coalition. As such, I'm gonna wait for a few more years before I fully annex Serbia. Sadly, this is all because of you, Herzegovina. This should have been 2 aggressive expansion, not 15, but hey, whatever. So we're gonna take Kosovo and Zeta to cuck over the Venetians from taking any Serbian lands, take all the money we can take, and we're gonna pillage them, also take their development, war reps, trade power. We're going for the full thing here. Alright, so now that we have our connection to our vassal in Bosnia, we're gonna start coring this up. The gold mine in Kosovo is going to be paramount to our expansion, so you want to start deving this up afterwards to 9 or 10 production development and lower the autonomy whenever you can. We want to bring it down to 0 autonomy so we get the full amount of gold from this province. With the war against Trebizond and Theodore over, and these countries now integral parts of our beloved nation, we will keep the fort in Trebizond and build another one in Divriji, as both of these provinces are mountain provinces, and protect the entrance to Anatolia. We also are going to look for some new allies, as we lost a few of the old ones. And we of course will be going for France, because the French historically have always been friends of the Ottomans. We're going to cancel the guarantee we had on Ragusa so we get back our Diplo relation slot. And we will also ally Bohemia. So many games I've had in which Bohemia annoyingly enough allied the Ottomans, thus preventing me as Brandenburg from expanding into it. Well, now as the Ottomans, I'm also allying Bohemia to stop the Prussian menace. We also will be chilling for a little while. I'm going to continue to get claims so that I can vassalize Wallachia and fully annex Serbia and continue to expand into the Hungarian and Venetian lands. But I also need to wait for a little while for my tech to catch up. We're getting 14 monthly admin points, so within a couple of years we should be able to catch up with our tech and be on the same level as everybody else in Europe. And through the power of editing, we've skipped forward a little bit until we can get our first splendor. And obviously you gotta go for the guns of Urban, which give an extra 33% siege ability. We also rearranged our armies. Our combat width has just increased to 22. So we have an 18 with 4 cav standard army plate. We will update these two as well with an extra 2 units in each army once our land force limit increases by an extra 4. We also can get our first idea now, and because as the Ottomans, I am going to have a lot of extra military points coming up, and I'm a little bit short on admin and diplo, I will be going for a military idea, and this varies based on your playthrough. So if you're going for a world conquest, for example, quality quantity would be perfect, but then again, offensive is really great as well. I will be going for quantity ideas myself, simply because overwhelming numbers is always going to win wars, and I already have a really great and professional army, so I really just need more of these troops. We also will continue our expansion, and it is time to attack some of the bigger boys now. By bigger boys, I obviously am talking about the Mamluks, who have been a thorn in my side since the start of the game, having their name all over the map, whilst my beloved name is not, so we gotta change that. Obviously, you gotta use your fleet as well in this war. We get to choose one of our heirs here, and we have some decent options. We're gonna go for the 461, obviously, and it seems like the Mamluks are trying to challenge us here in a frontal combat, which obviously they will not win. Like, why would you even try that? At the same time, I want to mention that I'm attacking the Georgians to wipe them out. And careful with the Mamluk fleets, they might try to blockade your area, which would cause some problems, so take them out. You should have a stronger fleet than them. One thing I want to recommend when you're attacking the Mamluks is to be careful in the fort they have in Al-Karak. This is a mountain fort, and it can happen that you can get your army stack wiped in that fort if you're not careful enough. Avoid direct engagements on this tile, siege it down, keep your other armies close to it in case the enemies decide to engage you here, but do not actually fight the enemy on this tile. because that would be a very bad move. Also, remember to use Scorched Earth. As you saw, I use Scorched Earth to give hostile units a movement speed minus 50%, which is why I managed to evade the Mamlukian army there. The war in Georgia is finished, so I'm gonna fully annex this nation, take as much money as I can take as well, and now pretty much all of the Caucasus is within our grasp, minus the lands of the Karakoyunlus, which we will be attacking fairly shortly. The war with the Mamluks going strong, we've annexed Ramazan, and we've declared war on Albania, which is allied to Venice and Genoa, so we will have to defeat both of these nations in order to get our cores back from Albania here. Mainly focus on the Mamluks War. You want to get this finished. Our peace treaty is going to look a little bit like this. We're taking Antakya so we can release the nation of Syria, and we're taking Jerusalem and snaking our way to the Ethiopian lands so that we can start munching into the gold rich areas here and work our way south. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I lost 3,000 troops. I wiped out their entire army, not even in a mountain province, but in a coastal desert. This is insane. The Ottomans are just ridiculously overpowered. Also, Castile attacked Granada, and as the defender of the faith, I joined in. Very likely I'm gonna have to cave into this because Granada is the war leader, and because I'm at war with Venice. Otherwise, I would have carried out and would have attacked the Castilians. Genoa is also getting a taste of Ottoman steel here, as they are defending over the Albanians for some reason. They did manage to take over Bosnia, but I am gonna take it back soon. Of course, I'm gonna focus on my war target first and foremost, namely Albania. And Cairo's down, which means they are gonna accept my demands. We've now just Sanek. We will release the nation of Syria from here once we are at peace, so that might be in a little while. Remember to concentrate development in the newly conquered provinces if you can. Avoid coring up Antakya, as that is the province from where we're gonna release the Syrians. Despite making gains, we actually lost the war against the Castilians because, as I said, Granada is the war leader, so eventually they are gonna cave in, which is what they just did. We also have taken out the Albanians and have crushed the Venetian and Genoese armies, but we managed to take a 5-year truce with both Genoa and Venice, as we want to attack them directly and not as non-co-belligerent nations via Albania. That being said, we're going to attack other nations now. First, however, we're going to have to regroup our armies and start marching by the Serbian borders. One more thing we're going to do is we're going to release, of course, the nation of Syria. As you can see, Syria's got cores on the entirety of this area here, which is going to make it really easy for us to expand within the Middle East. And because of our newly added provinces, we can also start our expansion towards the sweet gold mines in the Ethiopian lands. We've also attacked Hungary and Serbia. From the Hungarians, we're taking 2 provinces, Zoreni here and Kiraliford, and we're taking all their money and war reps. The reason we took these 2 provinces is because we're going to release Wallachia and Transylvania as our vassals, and we're going to feed them back the cores in the next war against the Hungarians. We're also going to be fully annexing the Serbs, of course. Concentrate development, even though it's not much, and we're going to core up everything here. We are at war with the Ragusans as well, but sadly Venice has already beaten us to it, and they've already started sieging down Ragusa, so we are a little bit late to the party here. The Venetians did fully annex Ragusa, sadly, but it's not a big deal. Our truce is going to finish soon, and we are going to attack the Venetians themselves. And with our 2 new vassals, we have a buttload of cores that we will be feeding them in the next war in a little bit of time. Also to note, I have in the meanwhile deleted the fort in Selanik, and as I previously mentioned, Kestria is the best location for a fort in this area. So within the first 29 years of the game, we managed to triple in size and get a bunch of vassals, which within the next 10 more years are gonna once more give us an extra 300 or so development. Economically, we're doing amazing. We've built quite a few buildings, and we're gonna continue to build them. We can also embrace the institution if we need to. However, I recommend that you wait for a little while until this spreads to a few more provinces. So as such, when it comes to your later expansion, of course, continue expanding in the Ethiopian lands, Arabian lands, your second war against the Mamluks. You want to feed the Syrians all of their cores, but you also want to take the holy cities here in Medina and the Hijazi area, as well as to expand into the North African parts, Balkans, and into the Persian areas. Idea wise, I recommend you go for religious ideas as your second idea group, or even humanist is good if you don't want to go for a one faith. Influence ideas if you have a lot of vassals, and even diplomatic ideas are great, as is trade ideas, which will help filter in all of the trade in the Constantinople trade node, making this trade node the richest in the area. If you're going for a world conquest, you start with minus 20 core creation cost from your national ideas, but if you go admin, you can get another minus 25%, so you would end up with minus 45% core creation cost pretty early in the game. So if you do decide to go world conquest, I recommend admin ideas, then one of the diplo ideas, and go back to religious ideas or humanist, depending on what type of world conquest you're going for. If you're really looking for another military ideas, quality or offensive ideas are both great for the Ottomans. Offensive can also be taken as your first idea instead of quantity to boost up your siege ability, which already is ridiculously strong, but I prefer quantity since, as you can see, I'm getting too many troops. I don't even know what to do with these boys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like. If we get 2,000 likes on the video, I'm also gonna do an army composition guide, and if you enjoyed the videos, consider subscribing. It would really help me out so much and encourage me to make more videos like these in the future. I also want to give a very special thank you to all of my patrons and channel members, as well as my Twitch subscribers. Thank you so much, guys, for all the support. I wouldn't be able to make these videos without you.